Am I alive? Still showing me. Maybe there's a bit of delay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, yeah. So, I think I'm live. There's obviously a bit of delay, so I think I'm like half a minute behind the current time. So we'll get that into Twitter. I'll give it a few seconds to see if anyone is actually going to join along live. If you are, type away in the chat. Okay, so we have 3 people watching in. As you can tell, this is not a normal standard streaming podcast, whatever this is, with a developer. I'm smoking and drinking, so if you have kids or you're of a disposition, you don't like this kind of thing, obviously don't watch. If you're here for the 3rd session and you've watched the first 2, God help your souls, you've managed to get through 3 hours in total of me rambling. So this is your first time watching, and the whole premise is this is obviously everyone's working from home, COVID-19, lockdown, self-isolation, all the buzzwords. As part of this, I thought I'd keep busy, try out new tech, but when I'm doing it, get drunk and have a couple of smokes. So, gonna try and keep this one to an hour max. I know I've been going over in the last few ones. Pardon me. But as part of this, I want to kind of each week, or hopefully every week until I get bored or fed up of this, I'm gonna try and tackle and battle with a different bit of technology each time. So I'm gonna try and fix up some of these lights. That's maybe too dark. Okay, so we're up to 4 people watching so far. So if you see me looking down the corner, I have an iPad here with another YouTube account watching the stream, so I can look at the comments. So if you have questions or comments, fire them away in the channel. Bit of a delay, so I'll look at there periodically. I have a bit of an agenda in this one, hopefully a little bit more prepared than the last. As we go on week by week, it'll get better, hopefully. So, kind of a bit of an introduction. I'll do it to start with them. Hopefully, I'll get the part where I won't have to do one. Maybe I'll do a YouTube introduction video. That'll probably never happen. So I'm the dyslexic developer. I'm been in software development for about 10 years. I now focus mainly on web technologies, JavaScripts, and all that kind of jazz. But I think this is a good opportunity for me to try and explore some new technology, but at the same time have a bit of fun with it, get drunk. If you're like me, you don't like reading through loads of boilerplate and loads of documentation, you just want to get to actually building and writing some code really quickly. So not sponsored by Harp, but if Harp want to get involved and sponsor me, that'd be great. So today I'm drinking Harp. I've also got a bottle of Teacher's whiskey straight out of the freezer, so we'll see how that goes. So this episode, or whatever you want to call it, is it's going to be focusing on snowpack. So snowpack is, well, okay, we'll take it's a it's a tool for building web applications. So if you work in the web industry, you probably are using Webpack. It's like the go-to de facto bundling tool for any project. Heavily used by React developers now. I think Vue and Angular developers are using it. It takes all your files, bundles them into single units that you can deliver to your users. Snowpack is doing something similar, but coming at it from a different angle. In reply to that comment in the chat, no, I'm not drunk enough yet. After I finish the cigarette, I'm going to be pouring my first whiskey. We'll hopefully get things going a bit more. Yeah, so Snowpack it's like a bundler, but it's not a bundler, if you can kind of think of it. It's a way to build a web application differently than we're used to with the likes of Webpack. So Webpack, you have a configuration that says, like, this is my code, these are my resources, assets, my dependencies. Take all this information, and every time I make a change, rebundle it, and pipe it into a distributed file or a library file, or however you want to build it. If you're building like a component that's going to be shareable, or building an application itself. Whereas Snowpack takes a different approach. I think it seems to be mainly focused around building web applications for, I don't want to say web applications for the web, but building them more browser focused and browser centric. So if we think about, we like to use a lot of like new cool tech in the world of JavaScript, so we're building like applications using ES6, ES7, ES20, whatever it's meant to be called, and a lot of this stuff isn't supported natively by the browser itself, but browsers are catching up and browsers are getting better, so we can now start leveraging certain things. Like one of the main things that was missing was this whole idea of having like modules and being able to import code from different things. So let's see, I can never get this draw. So if we jump in this Scala draw and delete all this, jump in this Scala draw and kind of draw it like, you know, when you have a web application, you usually have, you know, your main app, but the code you use to build your app is very dependent on other stuff that you have. Whiskey thing. It gets better the more you drink it. But you also have other things. So there's always this bottomless pit that we call our node modules, and we usually end up pulling a lot of information out of this. And these are kind of these are the utilities like React. Well, React's not a utility, it's a framework. React, Lodash, Ramda, all these kind of tools that have been built that we can harness and use. These are all written in, a lot of them are now written in TypeScript, and all these future frameworks compiled down to ES5 because it's browser compatible. Then we compile them with our application, but our application again is written in the likes of ES6 using like classes, async await, generators, this kind of thing. But the browser can't understand that. So if we have our browser over here, we need to bridge the gap in between this, and this is kind of where we use a diamond for Webpack. This is where Webpack would come into play. So Webpack would take your fully compiled source, convert it into something that the browser can understand, and then you deliver that to your users. There's obviously then the backwards compatibility, being able to like read this back in your application so you can understand, debug, and work with it. Where I think Snowpack is coming from the approach is it wants you to use web compatible code to build for modern web browsers. So at this point, a lot of the stuff what Snowpack talks about, it's supported by this idea of modern browsers. ironically, i.e. everything that is not IE. So if we were going to go the route of snowpack, now this is my high level understanding from listening to a lot of podcasts. So if you've listened to, I think it's the Changelog podcast, which hosts Josh, I think it's JS Party, and the React podcast, they've had the creator of Snowpack, who's also the creator of Pika package, on recently, talking about this idea of building using Snowpack. So Snowpack would have, again, your app. I can probably copy and paste a lot of this stuff. Your node modules. But then, instead of having to constantly, so I've kind of left out, like, this is a continuous loop of every time you change your app, it's pulling in your node modules, recompiling, building through here each time. So Snowpack then takes a copy of your node modules and creates this thing called web modules, and then all your interactions are with this. So then all you're doing is shipping your app to the browser. And this is your browser. On an initial view, that looks like it's just shifting the problem to another folder. And I kind of wonder if we're going to figure out along the way what's going on there and why is that a difference in this kind of idea. But yeah, it's this idea like they create a web modules, which is copies of the compiled built node modules there that you reference, and you have this idea of like you use the browser native modules, which we're using the word module a lot, but I think as we start going through the example and playing about with this might make a lot more sense. Oh god. So enough kind of half-assed and explaining what's going on. Let's jump straight into this. So if we jump into the Snowpack website, this is boilerplate documentation. I love it when websites have this. I hate reading documentation. I hate wasting my time. I'm the kind of person who jumps straight to the example, tries to run it. When it doesn't run, I give up. If you've seen the last stream when I was trying to use Redwood.js, I didn't follow the instructions whatsoever. I had a roadblock and I never got out of that roadblock, and I gave up. And I don't think I'll ever go back and use Redwood again. If you're a fan of Redwood, don't at me. So Snowpack can be built with modern web apps without a bundler, blah blah blah. It kind of feels a little bit like it's hating on Webpack, but I think they explain in their documentation that this is not shitting on Webpack and making Webpack obsolete. It's just a different approach, and there's some why. You can see some people are using it. So we've got some names like Intel, obviously Pika's using it. Blah 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 blah. We've got our browser support, so you can see we're supporting most modern common browsers except for IE. I think in this kind of stages we're at the minute, unless you're dealing with enterprise customers who are running like legacy business systems that have stringent administration rules, you're not going to have to worry about using IE. So we don't care so much about that. Everyone's usually on the latest or maybe a few versions old version of Edge, Firefox, Chrome. Who uses Safari? God knows. Load golf. Right. This they are getting started. So I did have a one that I was using before. So I think we'll just do rm minus rf. We'll wipe this out. How do we open up? Oh yeah, right. Wipe this clean. Let's start from fresh. So we want to follow along with this example. So I'm going to use Better Touch tool to do some rearranging here. So it's strange, and I thought this beforehand. It says like just all you need to do is npm install Snowpack and then npx Snowpack. npx is a way of running no modules without having to install them locally. It's a very useful tool. This didn't work out of the box, which is kind of annoying. It was a false sense of security when it came to. I think this needed a preface to say you needed an existing project to be trying this on. I think we want to do the quick start guide first. I love that it starts at 0. All indexes start at 0, as a programmer would abide by. So that's we've already created our folder. We're in snowpack test. So let's do our npm init, and we'll do yes. Bypasses everything else. You don't have to answer questions, which is really good. Then npm install Preact. So it's kind of weird. The deletes are in this path of using Preact and HTML. Preact is like the lighter version of React, and HTML is like the I don't want to say lighter version of JSX, but it's a version of JSX like kind of coding where you use templated strings instead of JSX, which again gets you up and running quicker because you don't have to Babel transpile, install a Babel config that can understand JSX. If you ever try to configure it yourself manually, it's not easy, and you end up copy and pasting a lot of stuff. So we've done those two things. Right now we do npx snowpack, which I don't know what this is actually going to do because we haven't created anything yet. It's doing all this stuff. So this is fetching all the snowpack binaries from npm, running it, and then throwing all that stuff away, so it doesn't live on our machine. So it said it's installed HTML and Preact. So this is now where this web modules comes in place. So we still have our node modules because we npm installed. If we less our package JSON, we can see like we have those two dependencies, but we also now have our web modules. Ls minus LA. Now the whiskey is kicking in because I can't type. Yeah, so we have these pre-compiled files of HTML import map. I'm not too sure, but I think that's a Pika thing. And Preact. Let's fire up WebStorm and then dig into what's going on in here, because we haven't even got to the point where we haven't created an application yet, but we've done some steps and we've created some things. So let's go through my Finder, try and get things a little bit more organized. So we're going to the snowpack test, and we'll open that up. So obviously all we have at the minute in here is our node modules and our web modules. Oh, this could crash. WebStorm's terrible at opening big things. So it's pulling in like it's almost like a minified version of that dependency that we pulled in, because if we go into node modules and we go to HTML, like it has a lot of stuff here, including like a source, a dist. So it must take whatever is the distributed or library version of the node module that you specified, which if we look at the package JSON for our node module and look for index, there's a lot of indexes. Oh, they don't have an index. Maybe it's a lib. There's somewhere in a package JSON where you'd have main. Sorry, it's main. So you in your package JSON you can specify a main, and this is where like whenever something else depends on you, this is where you tell it this is where your code comes from. Again, if I'm wrong or any questions, call it out in the chat. Sometimes I'll like flick through the screens badly or mumble or mamble or whatever. It gets better. Right. Yeah, so I think it's picking up the main file, minifying that and firing it into this web modules. So let's go back to our tutorial. So after this, we need to then start creating some files. So I don't care about any of this. This is all boilerplate. This is done. I want to get built in something. So I know this is it wants us to create an index.html file. I'm gonna flex my terminal skills here and try and do this via the terminal because I couldn't be arsed doing it via WebStorm. So if I touch, create a new file, and then via that index file, I had to insert all the Vim. What is it? Vim, and there's another one. There's Vim, and there's another competing terminal editor. If you know what the other one is, leave a comment, I guess. But yeah, I use Vi. I don't know if Vi is Vim or Vi is the other one, but it's from my old days of doing any server development, I always use Vi to edit files. So we've now created an index.html file. Notice in the index.html file we have this script tag with the type module. So this is the thing that snowpack is building upon, the fact that the browsers now support modules, inverted commas, where you can then import codes. So like previously you would have had to do a script tag and then pull in that file, and then that file contained everything inside of it, including any like REST calls to go get additional files. But we can use the browser supported module system to do this for us. Right, now we need to create our simple JavaScript application. Try and copy and paste this. So again, we need to actually, it's telling us to do it in source/app.js. I'm assuming this is a standard for snowpack, so it'll always look for source/app.js to try and pick it up. Or actually it's probably just because that's the way it's defined there. We'll do it anyway. So mkdir src. So we'll create a source directory, and then we can do touch source, and it's going to be app.js. Now we can just vi source app.js. If you're wondering what commands I'm using, stuff like that, like, obviously question away or hit me up on Twitter. These are like the weird basic commands. Like I learned these commands maybe 10 years ago, and I'm stuck in my ways of like, I know like vi touch make dir and these random commands that I just learned as randomly. How like the way I seen it was I had in a previous job I had to work on remote servers and edit code on remote servers, so I would write and I would like modify, create files, create directories, modify and like build stuff on that server but I only had a terminal. At that point I hadn't figured out you could like spin up a remote desktop and connect to the terminal, or you could open up a visual editor from the terminal. But I just kind of got into the habit of it, and it's kind of made me the keyboard warrior that I am. So we do the insert. I think I said I did edit earlier, which is cringe. So now we have an index file that we just created. We have a source directory, so we have ls, our source directory. We've got our app.js. And we do less app. We can see what we typed in. I wish I had like syntax highlighting in this, but I'm not a bash geek. So this is something I was doing previously, and I was looking into this, and they suggest such a really good tool. If you've ever wanted to like spin up a server and start a server just from a directory, and it'll just load the files like a Tomcat or a HTTP server, this is a really cool tool. I never knew this existed until I went through the snowpack docs. Spoiler alert, I went through this a little bit beforehand, but the last time I did this blind and drunk, I got fucking nowhere. But they I want to say servo, well maybe the last R isn't pronounced. Whew. This is really cool, like npm package that allows you to just like spin up a server from any directory that you're currently in, and if you're using this in conjunction with npx, you don't need to install it as a global dependency. You don't need to really do much. On top of that, then I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this a bash alias, if you want to know more about Bash, just Google it. I'm not an expert in this. I just kind of been hacking away from my days of when I used to do terminal work. But I now have serve. I'm not in the wrong window. Serve. I now have this command serve here. When I run serve here, it'll run a like I don't know, web server from whatever directory I'm currently in. Give me whatever the URL is. Also hosts as a network directory. So now if I grab this, so it's running localhost 8080. So let's get rid of some of these tabs. So now we have gone from step 0 to step 5, and we have a pre-act. If I can get the right thing, we have a pre-act app using HTML being served and I want to say bundled lightly by snowpack, which is great success. I love this fact. Like I went from, I think I was checking the time there, and like that was like 10 minutes of actual touching code and the terminal, and we got like a fully built application. Like if we go back to WebStorm, like we can prove that this stuff exists. So we go into source app, we can see here we got like some pre-act component, it takes props, it's got an inline style which I fat finger typed and broke. So let's change this. Obviously we don't want hello world, we want hello drunk world. And because the command I'm using for serve here is calling npx servo reload. It's obviously not servo, I'm just pronouncing it wrong. Again, I'm dyslexic, give me a break. This will monitor any changes to the directory and rebuild for us. So now we've got hello drunk world. So I think we're kind of set up in a certain way. We can go two paths here. I'll pause for a little. I'm going to pause, spark up a cigarette as a celebration. But we're also going to keep an eye on the comments. If you have comments, questions, fire shit in. Have some sort of interaction. We've got 4 people watching, one of which is my other account. The other one is my wife, who's the producer. So we've got 2 people watching. Great success. So I think we've got 2 paths here. I've got 2 paths planned. I want to kind of build upon this app, but also want to dig into some of the other features and the other things that Snowpack kind of has. And I think they kind of lead down the methodology of what Snowpack is. I'm kind of falling into like how I do my tech talks. I used to give, I'll not say brilliant tech talks, if you want to call them that yourself. I used to give tech talks where they were like very tech focused. Like, if you change a semicolon here, you will get this 10 millisecond performance. But I'm now kind of moving towards this idea of like the psychology of development and the methodology and like the thought behind it. What I kind of like about Snowpack in these kind of scenarios is it's unopinionated. Slightly opinion in the sense that it's pushing you towards using the browser standard, which I actually kind of like, because a lot of time we build shit on top of what the browser gave us already, and I don't know why we're trying to do that. I witnessed the introduction of the find command on array. So let's see, mdn find. Previously this didn't exist, and I had to migrate my code across to being able to find an element in an array. And I think some people are kind of like, let's build ES5 code because it'll ship for every browser, it'll support everyone. If your customers aren't using IE, stop using the things that are IE, because 1, you're going to be shipping more code down the pipe to them. 2, you're going to be building these abstractions and overriding these browser defaults for nothing. You're kind of climbing an upwards battle, even though the customer's at the top, and you're pushing, I don't know, whatever analogy you want to think, like pushing a mule up the hill for the crack. So right, I think first we're gonna try this. We don't have to try this. We're gonna go through some of the additional snowpack features. I kind of want to like this is a little bit boring. We've got this little red hello drunk world. I kind of want to say like, can we fire in a color picker element and be like, if we change the color, it updates the color of the text. So we're gonna do JavaScript. You can see what I'm searching. JavaScript color picker. It's probably going to give me 100 solutions that aren't the native browser one. I think we need to go JavaScript color picker MDN to get, yes, so we have a color tag. No, it's CSS. I think, is there not like an input type for color? I'm pretty sure, yes, input color. So let's fire one of these in. So I want input type color, ID name head value. Oh god, so much stuff. So we're going to fire this into our HTML tag. This is where my lack of using HTML and Preact is going to come to play. Instinctively, I want to wrap this in a div because semantic HTML needs to always be a tree structure. You can't just have two items above and below each other. They need to be wrapped in some sort of container. So I'm going to wrap this in a div. Again, if I look down, I'm looking at the iPad for comments, which there is none. Come on, just drop a fucking comment and just say something. Give me stick. Slag off the beer. Do something. Call me a drunk man. Let me know someone's actually watching along with this. There's still 4 anyway, so 2 people are watching. And this is where I realize YouTube has a number of bots that auto watch features. Again, this is also unprofessional because I'm learning how to use YouTube. YouTube itself has the shittiest fucking tutorials to the point where like when it tells you how to like stream content, it tells you to just go download some software and use that with no instructions because they, deprecated their internal software. Let's see, right, so we have input type color, ID head, name head, I don't know what that is for. Let's see what this renders. Broker text, we got a div. This is where it's all gonna fail. Well, you still got Dan here watching. So, we're doing well. This is where I'll need your help, Dan. I hope you've used Preact and HTML before, because I haven't. And we're going to... maybe that needs to be a self-closing tag. Oh, there we go, right. So, it has a color picker, we can pick colors, but we need to then feed that color into our text. Does Preact have hooks? If it has hooks, we're flying. I don't know. Let's find out. We'll open up a history there. So Preact hooks. No, not React hooks. Preact hooks. Oh, we're taking to the right. Hooks, introduction, come on, skip, we don't care. So they have a use state from the looks of it. So let's try and use the Preact use hook. I'm gonna drink first. So if we do, it's the same syntax as React, thankfully. So we can say color set color equals use state. I wonder, do we need to expand this out? Does this export use state? It doesn't look like it does. So right, this is another fucking stupid thing. So right, use state. Where am I importing that use state from? Is that use state just built in? Maybe I need to rebuild, or maybe this the IntelliSense isn't kicking in for me yet. We'll continue on. If it fails, it fails. So when the use state, and it's going to be, do we need the hex code for red? The CSS hex code. I want to get the hex code for red. Never use W3 schools. I don't know why, but you're just always told never to use them. So, funny enough, the beauty about this sort of number, like red is my favorite color, so we're kind of off to a winner already. So, our default is red. We've now created a state variable. Don't forget your semicolon. They're not necessary, but to me they are. We now have a color state variable that we can then pass into our style tag. I don't agree with style tags. I'll just throw that out there, but tags are necessary. So we're going to say color, and what happens? It's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. Oh, of course it fucking failed. Preact does not export use state. I wonder, do we have to kill this and then do? Where was our web? We did snowpack. Maybe we have to do snowpack again, just because it doesn't understand that export. I don't think it should be the case. Snowpack is sold as this idea you don't have to recompile. Come on, Dan. You're keeping the chat alive. I'll reply to you. So, recompile that. I don't think it's going to work anyway. We need to do our serve here again. macOS is shit. So I don't think this exports. We might hit a roadblock like we did last time. See, this drives me mad about. We do run REPL. It's just doing use state. So use state is like a global to them, but it's not. It's not a global. We need to import it somehow. We need to understand how we do it. So let's see. Maybe it's gonna be. What is H? H. We're importing a H variable, but I don't know what the H is used for. Maybe is H our preact instance. I doubt it. I doubt it. Come on. Preact example. I want to see like a fully fledged example. Oh, it's taking me back to the docs. See, this is the crap. Like, it expects me to understand, right? Where did I pull that out of? Oh, actually, if I read the docs, in Preact, they live inside an add-on which can be imported via Preact/hooks. So did I need to import that? Wait, we could fuck about with this for days. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's be dirty and use the window. If you built web applications, well, 10, 20 years ago, you would have seen this. If you've built them now, you'll never use it. My color equals. Oh shit, I lost my lines. Let me go back and get what that color input was. Chances are this is not going to even render. Right, okay. And to answer the Dan's earlier question, am I drunk enough yet? I think I'm drunk enough yet that I can not even type my color. So now what happens? Oh, right, I still got that use state. It doesn't matter. I don't want it anymore. Right. So then there must be an on change for this input. I'm pedantic and I like to indentize all my attributes. So on change is gonna be because it's just normal DOM element. I'm gonna can I do my lovely producer is crawling across the floor to try and get in this. Actually, right, fuck this shit. We're gonna get rid of Preact. Do we just do DOM diameter? How do we do on change in Preact? We're running out of our allocated R that I said I was going to do. We'll see how this goes. I imagine it's going to just be on change equals. This is React. So okay, so taking a tip from Dan, right, we're going to install Preact hooks. I get Preact is a small library, but fuck me, like, can we not just bundle the shit installed? Hopefully this is the right one. Preact. Oh, Preact hooks. That's a vent. Is that what we want? If in doubt, Google it out. Thankfully there's a GitHub issue that's hopefully going to tell us. That is the comment that solves the fucking world. Would pee my pants with happiness. Right, yes, so we need to install Preact / hooks. Right, so we've already killed our server. Clear this out. npm I this. Then we need to still run snowpack to compile that into our web modules so snowpack can understand how to handle it. Thank you very much, Mr. Skeleton. Time to top up the whiskey while this installs. I think we've lost the boat on the hour benchmark, but we can do an hour and a half, and hopefully that'll be it. Again, I forgot to hit record, but the last one auto-uploaded it anyway, so I think we're good. Not that anyone's going to go back and watch an hour and a half long live recording. Come on, install. What are you doing? Time for a cigarette break. If this fails, what's that for? Fucking SSH key. This is why we head up the comments. Why is it asking for my SSH key? Maybe it's Preact dash hooks. That's not that. That's not what we want. You know what? Fuck this shit. Right, we're going straight up HTML the fuck into this stuff. So can we do this? We can probably do it with just HTML. Okay, we're saying we can just import it already. Oh yeah. Okay, right. We'll do one more try. Port. Ah. God, if I listen to people, right. I'm quietly happy that someone else has nothing else to do with their Wednesday night other than to watch me drunkenly type away on a computer on YouTube. Dan, you need to reevaluate your life. So let's get that. Oh, let's get that code again. Where's that code again? Copy, paste. Oh, color. Have we broken it? No, okay, we still got it. So now we need to figure out how do we do an on change event inside HTML. If in doubt, Google it out. HTML. So fuck's sake, right? HTML.js. So yeah, so you wrap any on event handlers in a dollar symbol, and then that executes the function for you. So on change, is it on change or on change? On change. It's an event. We need console log this out because I don't know what this gives us. Can I type event? So now if we go back here for the console, if I change this to black, it doesn't log out. Okay, just checking comments there. Oh, I think I broke that. So that's not logging out the event for us. Let's do dollar color. Let's see if that helps. Oh, the site's not even run, that's why. Serve here. So now we refresh this. Maybe we need the snowpack that again. It would actually help if we had them installed. So npm I we're falling into our old ways. Let's get rid of this shit. I'm stuck in my ways and I kind of want to get something. So I'm going to say HTM. This is where it goes out of control. But we'll figure something out around this. Might serve here. If this doesn't go wrong in the next 5 minutes, we're going to do like our conclusion roundup. Yeah, it didn't go right. I wonder if I just did this as plain fucking HTML. So Dan's saying pre-react web posts needs to be like, oh shit. Fuck, right. We're doing this. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. And this needs to be webhooks / preact. We're gonna get somewhere. We're gonna get somewhere. I'm gonna do snowpack again, just to make sure snowpack's set up. I hope you're watching along with the drink yourself, Dan. You're getting the most shoutouts in the videos we've ever had, mainly because you're helping the whole thing stick together. I think we lost time. I think we could probably get rid of this and this and this and maybe this line and get back to where we were before. Or Control Z the whole fucking mess that we just did. In the meantime, I'm gonna be pedantic and just do a vanilla JS version of what I was trying to do. So like, this is using parcel. If we do hello drunk world, I can't do fucking normal style. again, confusing reports from our support. Yeah, I think it's fucked. Right. We're gonna get lost in the sea of me trying to drunkenly try and figure this out. What I was gonna do is like try and build like a color picker that would have been like choose the color that change the text. I have examples, I think, in my sandboxes of where we have examples of. Come on, go to my sandboxes. Come on. Where this can possibly be done. How do you get into? So this is like a raw HTML version of it. Of being able to like use a color picker to do certain things. Ignoring all this bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Fair enough, this was written in React. React kind of gives you that tool to be able to like handle state, handle things. I tried to show using the window to manage state. There's a reason why it's not being used. This is the kind of reason where like you isolate your state, you make it secure-ish, supportable, understandable. Whiskey time. But these are the kind of things that you think about. So like this was the example I think I was trying to achieve, where you can like fire up a color picker and go black, and then fire a color picker and go, alright, I'm gonna go white, and then like trigger reactions. And because I think React is better set up for this, but I guess it's a bigger bundle size, bigger load for your users. What you develop for and who you are building for is your challenge. Don't choose Preact and HTML if you're going enterprise. These are for the likes of this one site that's never going to get used again, and that's the way it is. But that's right. Let's jump back in the snowpack. So I have no stuff on the site I'm looking at. So what I like about snowpack was easy ability to get set up. Yes, I had problems. The problems were with snowpack. They were with like Preact and trying to get Preact on. They have a very, very detailed thing around React Summer. Summer, one of these menu items. They allow you to they allow you to build a React application with their tools. I think the idea and the method they're focusing on is developer happiness, not necessarily user or customer happiness, but and then that kind of filters down anyway. But if you've ever had to sit and wait, half a second is long enough for you to go off to another tab, start looking at Twitter. 30 minutes later, you come back and you're like, shit, that build compiled, or that compiled build, whatever it is. I think this is what this is trying to target. Like, you build once, compile every time, or sorry, you build and compile once, it runs every time. It only recompiles your code. It doesn't recompile every dependency and everything you got. Whereas the likes of like the web packs and the parcel and all these kinds of tools, they're always recompiling all of your source every time. That's where you're getting like the pain points. That's where you're getting like the hit where like it's taking you. And I work on an application that it's thousands upon thousands of lines of code, hundreds of dependencies. It's been running for 4 years. It is a little bit slow and sluggish. It could be improved by just upgrading and managing different things. But at the same time, can you sell it? Can you build that into your product? Can you make that be the thing that you want to build? And like when I was like skimming the docs earlier, what I kind of liked was like this focus on don't don't like build these like abstractions into abstract you away from the browser. So like what I love is like if I can find like their examples. So important CSS is an example. Like their recommendations is like just import a fucking CSS file. Don't build a SaaS pre-processing pipeline to then be injected into Webpack for Webpack to then build, ingest that, and then at runtime, the customer has to go off and fetch that um, file, or you end up bundling your styles with your compiled JavaScript. What you're doing is you're creating like another layer of complexity for the customer, another layer of complexity for the user who is trying to like I just want to get this shit. Like one of the problems I see, like I have an application that bundles the styles through Webpack. There's like that flicker when the fonts load. And when I like have an italic font somewhere, there's a flicker between like non-italic and italic. There's probably a way around that and probably a better fix for it, but that's like it's just something I shouldn't have to worry about. It should be handled by the CSS and should be handled by the processor for me. I one of their like biggest pushes is like they love the like this is the snowpack I'm talking about. The whole fact is like it's run after the build, not during the build. So like your developer happiness is quashed. I can kind of see that. With web applications, it's not a huge amount of time unless you're working really big applications. And if you are, then you can throw a lot more RAM at this kind of stuff. You can work with it. Um, we we can kind of Webpack's going to fix that shit in the future. Um, Another one I loved actually was like I thought it was insane, like images. So their recommendations just import the image from a fucking static directory where your image is loaded from, because not only like is that browser cached and everyone else is getting that for free, it just works. So you're not having to worry about these like weird directories in Webpack or these weird like import statements about like pulling an image for a logo that only happens at runtime. Yeah, like okay, if you have a bunch of image tags or a bunch of link tags for your CSS, it's always loading every time. Maybe build your application in a certain way, because like we get very down this line of micro optimizations where we build a site that is like, well, yeah, like if you go to this route you only see this data. Chances are most customers are going to hit a lot of your routes a lot of the time. Think of the big sites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like they're always seeing that one little icon in the corner or that one little bit of information. Unless your application is special, where unless they go down this weird path and they find this image, then just fucking preload the image, get it cached, get it in the browser, let the user handle that, because when they hit that page, it's there instead of, oh, here was this image that I was going to give you and give me 2 seconds to give it to you. And unless you're doing pre-render optimizations or predicting the path of the user, if you're doing that, you have a bigger, deeper problem. If you're not, you're micro optimization. So I'm trying to stick to my hour limit. I think I'm close based on when I started. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to fire it out to the comment section, This video is obviously going to be uploaded again. People can, well, if they give a fuck, they can comment. This is just for my own entertainment and the annoyance of my beautiful producer wife. Who actually, I have a bunch of choices. So while I'm waiting on some questions, Dan, ask a question. I'm gonna do some shoutouts. Like, what do you call your man? Joe Wicks?
Joe Wicks.
Joe Wicks. Joe Wicks. Joe Wicks. I'm gonna do some shoutouts. So this week, my beautiful wife, I must have to say, did me up some really good designs. I know these are the old designs. I know she'll fucking go mental, these old designs, but they're pretty cool. So I got some thumbnails for the what do you call it? Not Instagram. YouTube. The Whiskey's Kick, and then I got some thumbnails for the YouTube videos. She is under Louise Lachlan _ If you're in design need, she can design. So major shout out to her. Major shout out to the creators of Snowpack and Pika, because this is an interesting approach to the package management system, where you would, at every compile time, you would take all your dependencies, build them, and then put them in a bundle, which, yes, has a time constraint, but being able to offload, like, realistically, React, like, if you're working locally, React, Angular, Lodash, Ramda, these kind of things, they're not changing in your local environment often enough that why should you have to put processing power into dealing and management of them, whereas you could put the processing power and dealing and management into your own code and then shift that off to somewhere else. So, on that note, I think we haven't had any questions in the lull. We haven't had many viewers in the lull either. But I think we're going to call here and actually make, we're a little bit over the hour, but we'll make it at the hour. This is obviously, I think YouTube somehow records and uploads this for me. I'm not sure how that happens. It'll appear eventually. Share, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. I'm going to try and keep these going once a week. I need something to do. Oh, right, we got something actually. Stan's just fucking throwing in a bunch of configuration files. Thankfully, Dan sent me how to do it just when I was about to close the the session. I am not going to go back and do it, but we may revisit this in another session. Thank you for everyone who watched along, and thank you for everyone who watched this back again and managed to sit through an hour of drunken rambles of me trying to figure out how to do a date picker or something, and then talk through something that I never used or made before. And then this is where I struggle to figure out how to stop the stream.
I'm so
Bye.
sorry.